Hey, how's it going, everybody? I better get into it. You never know how long this film is gonna last. It seems like there's always one or another hurdle with the technical aspect of making videos. But my plan is to read through this piece called Hyperanimated Waste, piece of poetry, and then we'll do some extemporaneous talking about who knows what. So stick around to the end of the video. And please, if you don't mind, like and subscribe because I am giving you this free content. So let's get into it. This poem is called Hyperanimated Waste. When discordance dies down and the silence ramps up and the ashes of civilization fall like dust, slow mote drift down, snowflake fell flame over stretches of inanimate waste, laid blame in a grave made by the paradoxic way they mate. Icefire, cold steel, mainframe reduced to rust, and its smoulders, invisible embers, dance below the planetskin. Insect of the atom bore from the metal out a million revolutions, sleep and daily doubt, rise upon the ending, creep upon the livid crust, magma to lignify, mineral to liquefy. Nothing from everything, everything to no thing, everything to everywhere, to everyone, to everywhen. Now rectify, assimilate, and structurally eliminate the evidence of history, a peak of stony transcripts massing to the heavens, dense with life cement, then burrow, aforementioned, sojourn parasitic. Life urge desperation, music to be born when, birthed, double vision bleeds blue-red politic, tri-dimension glasses, filled cerulean, purple sanguine with the blood of the masses nebulaic. And the silence dies down, discordance ramps up, and the ashes of blazing heaven fall like dust. Slow mote drift down, snowflake fell flame over stretches, hyperanimated waste. So that's the piece. I wrote this about 3 weeks back, I believe, something like that. And I actually tried to do a video on this yesterday, and the technological aspect was not having it. I had multiple issues, so I decided to just come back when I got a few things figured out. And I do find it quite difficult to talk about pieces because one thing I want to say, first of all, about creative work, in my experience, is that it's very momentary. And I'm a person that's very much has a propensity towards improvisation and things that are extemporaneous rather than the planning aspect. And that goes for music and whatever art that I'm working on. So it's kind of like a revelation in the moment whenever you're writing poetry, for me. And that would be the sum total of everything that's occurring in your mental, emotional, just your energetic spectrum in general, plus everything that's going on in the environment and the world and beyond. And one thing that I find so poignant about poetry that perhaps a lot of people don't appreciate, because really it's not too common for people to read poetry. Even people that love reading tend to read fiction and prose and nonfiction and technical things more so than poetry, because it's a pushing of the boundaries of the language. It's an attempt to see new expressions, to discern what can be explained with terms that already exist, perhaps new terms, and new interpretations of familiar language. So I also came up with hip hop and rap and this idea of rhyming that's kind of a resurrection of rhyme and verse, traditions that have always existed throughout the world. So within that context, there's always been a tradition of multi-entendre. So any given line can be interpreted a myriad of different ways. And something that I play with a lot and try to explore in this work is paradoxes, so-called opposites, their similarities, their differences, and their ultimate union in the ineffable oneness of all things, the totality of what is. So in this piece, Hyperanimated Waste, a picture that I get is kind of the physical realm being just this vast wasteland of chaotic matter and light and energy all colliding, forms coming into being, forms expiring, and kind of grappling with finding purpose in something like that, and also wanting to have a larger perspective on reality that isn't just constrained to the era that we live in, or even the few billion years that we live in, but trying to broaden. So here this is talking about when discordance dies down and the silence ramps up. The silence as the profound stillness, the space that allows music to happen, the primordial silence behind everything, and the ashes of civilization fall like dust. Slow mote drifting down, a snowflake fell flame, fell strange flame, ice and fire, over stretches of inanimate waste. So it's like, in a way, a little bit dystopian, and I'm not one of those people that's really that overly drawn towards dystopian scenarios. I think that it's an interesting way to look at something from time to time. Icefire, cold steel, mainframe reduced to rust, and its smoulders, invisible embers, dance below the planetskin. One thing I'm playing off with the fire scheme in this is more of a radiating fire. You can think of uranium and other radioactive elements, but flame doesn't always mean physical flame. It can mean the fire of divinity, or whatever you want to term it, the energy that drives the entire reality to be able to operate. Insect of the atom bore from the metal out. A million revolutions sleep in daily doubt. Revolutions like political revolutions, or revolutions like planetary revolutions, or revolutions like around the clock. Sleep in daily doubt, meaning that contrast between how confident that we want to portray ourselves to the outside world, and how we have actual doubts that come on within darkness whenever we're alone in our own mind, while we try to keep ourselves busy. And to be honest, this video is probably already cut off, but hopefully those files I deleted actually did something. Magma to lignify, mineral to liquefy, right? So magma to petrify into something solid, mineral to liquefy, water, the universal solvent. Nothing from everything, everything to no thing, everything to everywhere, to everyone, to everyone. Everything comes from nothing. Everything goes to no thing, eventually becomes the totality, originated as the totality. So this whole part, insect of the atom, and this stanza below as well, is talking about that vital energy of the chemical universe, the mineral universe that persists over trillions of years, and kind of opening to a speculation of what existed before this universe, what exists after. Again, trying to broaden the timescale from decades to trillions of years. Now rectify, assimilate, and structurally eliminate the evidence of history, a peak of stony transcripts massing to the heavens, dense with life cement. All of our records, all of our history, everything we've built, everything we've thought, everything we've written, everything we've created, just amassing, aggregating. There's a peak of stony transcripts, peaking to the sky. And everything that comes into existence must go out. But that which always existed can't be extinguished. Life urge desperation. Music to be born when birthed double vision bleeds blue-red politic. Tri-dimension glasses, field cerulean, purple sanguine with the blood of the masses nebulaic. Don't really have much comment on that line, just read into it and you'll see what it's talking about. And the silence dies down, discordance ramps up, and the ashes of blazing heaven fall like dust. This is in contrast to the statement at the beginning of the piece. This is saying there seems to be a primacy of discordance, so you can see it from both perspectives. From the greater perspective, the silence is dominant. From this perspective that was just explained, it seems that nothing like silence or peace could ever exist, and that all that we see is chaos and meaninglessness. Slow mote drift down, snowflake fell flame, over stretches, hyperanimated waste. So the first time it's talking about inanimate waste, again, maybe a dystopian, post-apocalyptic type of scenario, and this time it's talking about periods of high activity. So in another way, this is talking about cycles. Larger cycles of aeons, not the cycles that we're used to of just one season, 1 year, 1 decade, or even 1 century. And my purpose with any piece is to make sense of the reality that I'm in, to explore the meaning of the reality, which is subjective, because in and of itself, meaning is a human idea. Nothing really means anything on a universal sense other than its essence of being of what it is. So all art to me is an exploration of reality and a synthesis of thought, feeling, emotion, spirituality, doubts, faiths, everything all in one. And that's why it's so meaningful to me. So I bet none of this was even on camera. If it was, then great, I can use it. If not, it was a good practice because it's my intention to get back on video, not do too much that's really CPU intensive in terms of editing until I get my new computer, which is going to be a few weeks out, but just to get back in the habit of making videos and trying out new things. So if you watch this long, I really appreciate you watching. Again, if you wouldn't mind to like and subscribe, that would really help out the channel a lot. And other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day and peace. I'll see you soon.